Well, today's theme is prosperity, and that is a subject that is best looked upon in times where sometimes we don't feel so prosperous, or we don't feel so abundant, or we don't feel the presence of the all goodness and the unlimited power of Spirit in our lives. And that is, if you look around you, there's a lot of that, and it's highlighted this time of the year because people feel a certain sense of obligation to be abundant and to be prosperous. And when they don't meet those challenges, they often get depressed. So we see a lot of mixed circumstances in life today. We see people that are prosperous and people that are very down and out, and people that have depression and other things going on. So when we think about prosperity, we're going to look at prosperity in a very different way today. And I want to start off with a story about when I was a young boy, and I remember there was one Christmas, there was all of the presents were open around the Christmas tree, and I noticed that there was one present that wasn't open, and I wondered what that could be, and so curiosity was just killing this cat. So whenever everyone went to bed, I got up in the middle of the night because there was no name on the packaging. And I opened that thing very carefully, very stealthily. I was looking around as if anybody was coming. And I was able to open it up, and it was a watch. But what happened was previously I had shook that thing. My daughter used to tell me I had a gift for guessing presents. And it's exactly what I thought it was. It was a watch. And I thought to myself, now, whose watch could that be? Whose watch could that be? It couldn't be mine. The first thing I thought of was, no, nobody would get me a gift like this. Nobody would get me a watch.
Right.
And later on, I found out that there was a name on, but it was actually hidden on the back side, and it had been covered up. And it was for me. And I thought to myself, I was so grateful for that. But at the same time, I thought, I wonder why I didn't think that gift was for me. And I was thinking about that this week, about how oftentimes in life there are unopened gifts that we have for us. In the state of California, they have this department that just has unclaimed property. Unclaimed property for people that haven't claimed. Maybe it's taxes, or maybe it's overpaid on this or that, or maybe it's a small claims court that you didn't know you had, or something. Whatever the variety of things it is, if no one claims it, it goes back to the state for a while, and they hold on to it for a certain amount of time before it becomes property of the state. And using that as an analogy in our lives, how many gifts do we have unopened in our lives? How many things in our life that are there for us that we cannot see, or that we will not see? How many things are beckoning our awareness? One of the main problems that we have for not seeing is that we are all in a modern day form of idolatry consciousness. What I mean by that is when we see things outside of us as a source of our good, we are engaging, just as the ancient Israelites, in a form of idolatry. We are believing that the source of our good comes from something outside of us, whether it's money, whether it's the government, whether it's something that creates a bridge between our lack of faith, our lack of trust in God and our good, we find a temporary fix. It bridges that gap between us and that unopened gift. That unopened gift that we don't know is there for us. And we may go weeks, months, years without actually knowing. I was in my closet a few weeks ago and I found clothes in there that I forgot that I had. And I'm like, whoa, that's good stuff, you know, because I forgot that I had them in there. And you know, I go up and down, so who knows if it's going to fit me or not. And I was thinking, how many things in our life do we have hanging up in our consciousness that we had forgot about? How many gifts that we have? Because as we go through life, we have a tendency to forget our gifts. We have a tendency to forget those things that were given to us at birth. All of the equipment, the spiritual equipment that we need to express ourselves fully in life. So trusting in God rather than money or circumstances is the very first thing that we need to start seeing those gifts. We have to be willing to say that maybe there is something that I cannot see there that is for me. And what is that? What is that? My experience has been that when you take your attention away from the idolatry, from thinking that your good is outside of you, when you take your attention away from the money, the things, the comforting things in life, and you stop the want for that, and know that the Lord is your shepherd, you shall stop wanting and you shall start receiving. Because the prosperity really is a side effect. It's not a real thing. It's an experience. We can't take prosperity with us, but we can experience it while we're here as a side effect of trusting in God as our source. Trusting in God as our source. Now what does that take? That takes courage. One of the highest virtues as a human being, as a spiritual being having a human experience, is to have the virtue of strength and courage. The strength to keep on keeping on it. The strength to keep trying without giving up. The strength to overcome your fears. The strength to overcome your fears comes with, again, trust. Trust. Do I trust that God is the source of all my good? Everything in life in abundance comes down to that. Do I trust that God is the source of all my good? Because I can break down any circumstance in life. I can break down the events and I can point to the reason that I'm not having prosperity, but I would just be pointing to another circumstance. Well, it's because I don't have a job. Because my job doesn't pay enough. Well, it's because I'm on a fixed income. You see, and all of these things are true, they're logical, and they make sense. But it doesn't explain the cause behind that. These are secondary causes. Because there is only one cause behind all of this. And it's the I am that you've created, the identity that you've created with yourself. And by that I mean the self-image that you've created for yourself. The thing that tells you who you are according to you. According to my eyes, do I see the world through my eyes and how I think the world sees me. That's a big factor too. How do I think the world sees me? Am I trying to satisfy that fictitious image that I think the world expects of me? Or am I serving my ego instead of God? Am I putting my little ego on that pedestal and worshiping that? Am I a slave to that? Or am I trusting in God? Am I trusting in God? I have seen motivational speakers talk about how to get prosperity and their number one thing, their number one goal is the thing itself. The thing itself. And by thing, I mean that temporary circumstance that a lot of us seek. Like, I want to be prosperous. I want to drive that BMW. I want to live in that neighborhood. I want to live by the water. I want to be in a certain country club or whatever it is that makes you feel prosperous. That is crutch. That's idolatry. Not that there's anything wrong with those things, because it's not the thing itself, you see. It's the motivation behind your consciousness. Why do you desire those things? Is it feeling a void within you of not trusting in God? Is it a feeling a void of low self-image, self-worth that is unusually and unhealthily low, so that you need something to fill that in artificially? You know, those things are understandable why people do those things. And they work for a short while. But if you have to see those things as just temporary, those states of consciousness. Because your longer goal should be being in a permanent state of prosperity. And by what I mean by a permanent state of prosperity is a state of prosperity where you are not pursuing things, but things are pursuing you. How do I get to that point, to that path? By being congruent with what I've come here to be. Every wise sage throughout the ages have said the same thing. Find your path and prosperity will find you. Find your path, what you've come here to do. Because you have to give, as Jesus said, in order to receive. The best way that I can give is give what God gave me when I came to Earth School. I came here to express fully a gift that is in me. There is a gift that perhaps I haven't opened yet. And sometimes that gift, when it's opened and shown, will not only make me smile, but it will make a lot of people around me smile. It will make them happy. It will invite them to open their own unopened gift. It will invite them to understand that there is, for each one of us, a unique gift. A unique gift. So what's it going to take for us to find that gift? What is it going to take? It's going to take us to recognize the barriers to the gift. The very first one that Jesus talked about, and Jesus talked about this in length because he understood that it is a major barrier to our happiness. I have come that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. He understood that in order for us to have life more abundantly, we must overcome the barrier of worry. Worry, worry, worry. In the Gospel of Matthew, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, about your body, what you will wear. Is life more than food, the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not toil, they do not store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. How much more does your heavenly Father care about you? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single day or a single hour to your life? You see, this is, worry is a prayer, because we're creative. Whatever we think by the Word, remember that in the beginning with the Word, with God was the Word. By that Word, by that thought, before the Word is expressed, by that thought, we create. We create our circumstances. We create our living experiences. And so, when we worry, we are actually creating struggle. We are creating the very thing, the very fear that we entertain. The thing that I feared the most came about. Because of who? Not this. Because of me. Because of me. It's the whole message that Jesus had. That not only are you responsible, but you are empowered to change that circumstance. Are you willing to stop listening to the lies? Where do the lies come from? They come from the embedded consciousness. From all those things that you were told, maybe in family circles, maybe in social circles, that put you in a certain place, sort of like a caste system. You know, sometimes in small towns you see it where people become successful, and then the people that grew up with them, they become envious of them. How dare you? You're one of us. I knew when you were a little kid, I changed your diapers. Okay? You know, my diapers don't need changed anymore. But the point is, we grow up, we